All right, guys, so the P-Long study showed that in 6 months, these participants gained 0.8 inches in length, 0.5 inches in girth. Over 6 months, you can see the graph here. This was a study that was actually published by a urologist, and it's really kind of the first of its kind. There's a lot of things that I love about this paper, and a lot of the things that make me want to take off this mask and pull out each of my hairs individually.
They had us the first half, I'm not gonna lie.
I think overall it's really good, but we're gonna talk about what makes it good and what makes it bad today. So first things first, guys, I will leave a link to this PDF below. If you are not actually reading the papers and going through the actual introductory section or the introduction section, you are leaving so much stuff on the table. I know I'm a science nerd with this, but okay, for example, even in this paper here, they actually summarize 2 studies. Well, they summarize a lot of the different PE studies that are relevant. So for example, they say 2 studies examined penile traction therapy showing statistical increase in baseline flaccid and stretched flaccid measurements. So for example, if you wanted to dive deeper in this, you could go to the reference section of this paper, pull up those papers, and then go to those papers, which I have talked about previously, but it can lead to a plethora of papers if you're,
oh, there's no evidence of PE actually working.
there is, guys, there's a lot of it. It's just people won't look for it. People go into our subreddit getting bigger. They're
PE doesn't work. Prove me wrong.
no, prove yourself wrong. If you want to go look it up, look it up. There's plenty of data for it. The key thing about this paper is there truly is a need in the community, in the PE community, of proof of non-surgical enhancement, because there's a lot of small studies, there's a lot of anecdotal studies, but there's not really definitive evidence. And I think this does basically the best job it can with its limitations at proving this. So this study looked at healthy men with no kind of penile dysfunction between the ages about 20 to 55. One of the problems with this study is they have basically 4 different variables. The first variable that they introduced was, of course, the P-shot or PRP, platelet-rich plasma. So I'll put a picture of it here. Basically, they draw out your blood, centrifuge it down, and you can see there's this middle section there of that platelet-rich plasma that they actually take out, and then they inject into, whether it be, it's done sometimes for hair, to help with hair loss, joints for joint pain and inflammation. It's kind of, I think it's a cash grab, and I think that there is some limited science in certain applications that it works, but people also know that they can charge a lot for it, and it's really not that expensive of a procedure, guys. Draw out some blood, centrifuge it down, and then take out the PRP. It's really easy to do. You could do it yourself if you wanted to. I wouldn't recommend that. But a lot of, especially plastic surgery, urology offices are charging a lot for it. So, but anyways, that's how they did the PRP. They also used a device called a Restorex device, a traction device. I'll be honest, guys, when people hit me up on my Patreon for injury coaching or PE coaching, if you want to be coached by me, go to my patreon.com/debunking. But they say, I have a curve. What's the best device for getting rid of the curve? I think the Restorex device. It's expensive. I think you can do it with other devices, just a generic extender, but the Restorex device for a curve is something that I do recommend. It has the most published literature behind it, and that's what they actually showed in this study here, or that's what they actually used in this study here. They used 10 minutes twice a day in just a straight position, not very time intensive. Then I just use the brand name. I don't want to use the brand name of this pump because I just think it's crap. If you're interested, just I'll include the link to the study below. You can look it up. But they use this brand name pump. And in not only the abstract, but in the actual published paper, they say that they used between 5 to 10 liters of mercury. And the smart people in here already know why that's making hot take hink raw. But for those of you that aren't familiar with that yet, you'll see why. I'm going to break that down in just a second when I talk about the problems with this trial. 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury. And interestingly enough, they actually used a BD interval pumping type of technique because, so they used 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury, if you can even measure that low. And then they achieved tumescence or an erection, applied it for 1 minute and then released, and then applied it for another minute, then released, and then did 5 minutes, then released, and then 5 minutes, then released. So basically a total of 12 minutes under pressure. And they did this actually twice a day, okay, which is something that we're going to talk about later as well. And then I'm not even going to mention this product, guys, partially for conflict of interest, but they used a nitric oxide-based product. And I'll just tell you that nitric oxide-based product they use only has 750 milligrams of L-citrulline in a serving. So they use that product, 2 tablets, twice a day. So 750 milligrams of citrulline twice a day. So before I eviscerate this paper, because I don't want to be that old hateful man that, you know, just hater hink out here, just hating on everything. A lot of really good things, okay? It actually is a PE clinical trial. Somehow they got a clinical trial looking at non-surgical penile enlargement approved by the actual IRB, or Institutional Review Board for Medical Ethics and everything. So that's a huge win for PE everywhere. Period. End of story. That's a huge win. They essentially proved that non-surgical enlargement is possible. And it, you know, really does add to a paucity of data in PE. This is, if you go on Big D problems and you guys are like, oh, PE doesn't work, you can literally say, here's a paper showing that enlargement is possible, guys, a published urologic journal article. So those are all the good things about it. Now we got to talk about the problems with this trial, guys. So first of all, take it down. One of the biggest problems with this trial, guys, so in not only the abstract, but in the actual published final paper here, they said that they use 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury. When we're talking about what is an average erection pressure, it's about 100 millimeters of mercury, guys, at least, just when you're standing relaxed. It can get much higher than that if you're actually in the midst of intercourse, but at least 100 millimeters of mercury. So they are saying literally 1/10 of that pressure is what they used. You're saying, Hink, it's just a typo, whatever. Guys, I emailed the people at PLong and I said, guys, surely this is an error. There's no way that you're using 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury. And they said,
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Here's the screenshot here, guys. You can see for yourself. How can you trust what they say if literally a fundamental part of their protocol, that's wrong, guys. There's no way they use 5 to 10 millimeters of mercury. What they most did is they meant to say 5 to 10 inches of mercury. And a lot of you guys think I'm just being pedantic or whatever, because all across the subreddit, people are like, oh yeah, I use 5 Hg, or range should be 5 to 7 Hg. And guys, you have to specify millimeters of mercury or inches of mercury. This is a case in point why that matters, why actual nomenclature matters. Another thing, so let's just assume that they meant to say actually 5 to 10 inches of mercury. That is a wide range. That's either one or double the amount. You could have people in the trial that are just using 5 because they're scared, and then you could have people in the trial that are just using 10. You need to narrow that range down. You should say in the trial, we recommended people pump at 10 inches of mercury. However, if they could not tolerate it, a range of 5 to 10 was allowed, or something to actually specify what was the targeted pressure amount. I already alluded to this, guys. Number one, they're using a citrulline-based supplement that is dramatically underdosed. So yes, citrulline wasn't the only ingredient. They only used 750 milligrams of it. They also had things like beetroot and other crap that has a mild nitric oxide activity. If you're going to recommend a nitric oxide boosting supplement, which is why they recommended that supplement, which is also owned by the guy doing the study, which, let me stop there. Clinical trials are hard to get published. They're hard to get funding for. Of course, I did my Hink trial, and part of how I kind of funded it, so I don't fault them for having a nitric oxide boosting supplement. I fault them for having a dog shit nitric oxide boosting supplement. It's just not a good supplement, guys. It's just not. On any of the ingredients, it's underdosed. They're also recommending a bad underdosed supplement that they're going to financially profit from. This is a little bit of the academic mind coming out of me, but when you have a published paper, guys, it should be introduction, methods, results, discussion, conclusion in general. Don't get pedantic with me in the comments. You can if you want. All the comments help the algorithm. In this section, they combined results and discussion, but it's basically just a results section. So why does that matter? Well, it matters because when you have a typical discussion section, it says, yes, our results showed that you gained 0.8 inches in 6 months. This is the literature that we use that supports our argument for why this happened. These are the physiologic changes that were occurring that say why this happened. All they say is, yeah, these guys gained. That's not a results and discussion. That's just a results section with a little bit of, with one sentence says that acknowledges some of the inherent flaws in this paper. Once again, I'm kind of crapping on this paper now, but it is a poorly written paper. So in fairness, this paper got published in the Journal of Andrology Open Access. So this is not a high tier level. It's not, it got published in the Journal of Urology or an actual legitimate paper. This got published in, I mean, this might as well be the Journal of Urology of Eastern Uzbekistan or something like that. It's all love to my guys in Uzbekistan. Just looking at how this paper was written and the flaws in it, it's no question why it didn't get published in a higher journal. Still got published. It's still literature out there. but there's no question, of why that's the case. And then we got to talk about the elephant in the room, the conflict of interest. Guys, there's nothing wrong with profiting. There is something wrong when you're profiting at the expense of other guys with broken promises or failed promises. I'm going to make a video on Rena Malik, but she was actually one of the people they acknowledged here. You can see in the acknowledgments because she helped to recruit patients. And quite honestly, I lost some respect seeing her name in here because I think she in general gives good advice. I do agree with this, but I think that this study was 100% just financially motivated and not trying to add to the body of science. Every single variable is financially directed, okay? From the brand name Restorex device, to the brand name pump, to the brand name supplement, to the actual P shot, to this actual P long protocol. It's Dr. Brandeis's thing, whatever, but that is a trademarked P long study, and he has his P long clinic, and he is the CEO of P long Incorporated, guys. It's just money, money, money is the point of publishing this trial, so they can put this on their website and market it. You can argue with me if you want, but there's zero evidence that the P shot increases size. Zero evidence. Even the guys in the subreddit, most of the guys that have gotten the P shot say, yeah, it helped with erection quality, but it didn't help permanently with size. There is zero evidence of this helping with size, guys. This is the closest, this paper here is the closest that we have to something actually showing that the P long can actually either elongate or add girth to the penis. I don't think the P shot works at all for actually enlargement. I think for overall penile health, yes. But even there's a lot of anecdotal stories that I've seen even on the subreddit where it's, yeah, I had 5 rounds of the P shot and it didn't help. It was expensive. Yeah, my erection quality got better, but there was no permanent gains from it. So I think that is an inherent flaw right there. Once again, from that financial motivation. And guys, they do acknowledge this major flaw, but there are 4 different variables. Normally, if like you run an actual clinical trial, the best clinical trial you could run is you would have basically 1 variable and you would have 2 groups, and one group is the control, which does not include anything special, and then the other group has that 1 variable. Once again, they're doing what they can with what they have, and I don't fault them for that. But they have 4 different variables. I am adamant that just a combination of those 3, this is part of where the HINK trial came into existence, because I think that using some kind of device or manual stretches for length, combined with pumping for girth and for length, combined with a solid nitric oxide boosting product is guaranteed results right there, guys. I think that that's personally guaranteed results. They are throwing on this 4th measure of the P shot so they can say, oh yeah, we use P shot and you can see that it's growth, because they can profit from it, guys. I can't say it enough times. But you can't conclude anything because you have 4 different variables. You don't know if there was 1 variable that mattered and the other 3 didn't do anything at all. Then other major flaws, guys, this is at-home measurements. The measurements that they use to say, oh yeah, people grew, was guys taking pictures of their D at home. You literally have guys in your clinic at least once a month getting the P shot, but yet they couldn't actually take pictures to actually prove it. That's crap. Then the other thing is they should have a database. If these guys were getting those gains, even if it's just on their website for marketing, they should have a database where you can see before and after pictures. But of course, I sound like a broken record. Old man yells at the clouds. Once again, it's guys selling something with no evidence of their growth and saying, oh, trust me, bro, I went from this size to this size. And here's case in point. Oh, trust them, bro. On this study, which I ran, which I directly financially profit from, they went from this size to this size. And another thing, guys, almost getting an inch in length and a half an inch in girth in 6 months, I'm sorry, it's not happening, guys. I don't care what the protocol is, especially not something this where you're doing 10 minutes of using an extender. So twice a day, so 20 minutes of using an extender, and then a total of 14 minutes of pumping. You think that's gonna be enough to get you that? No, I'm sorry. It's not happening, guys. Quite honestly, he could prove me wrong, show the before and afters. I think that they're lying in this trial, guys. I know. I'm sorry. I think they're lying in this trial. You can call me a hater in the comments, whatever. I'm sure all the Dr. Brandeis stands are going to come out and be,
Oh, you're just a hater. You're just mad because they got gains.
I've got gains too. So one of the guys was like, oh yeah, you're just jealous. I was like, of what, bro? So guys, this is a huge win for PE in general. Huge win. It's full of flaws. Hopefully you enjoyed this.